time for Biscuits and Penalties. I'm your starting goalie, Alex, and with me, as always, is Cobra. Say hi, Cobra.
Hi, Cobra.
First, I want to say it does feel good to be back as the 2025-2026 NHL season is around the corner as the Florida Panthers are looking to pull a Tampa Bay Lightning to win back-to-back-to-back championships. So it's very interesting to see what they can do with the pieces they have now. What do you think, Cobra?
Well, not just that, but first off, we need to acknowledge that this is our second season together, Alex. Our first season, we were actually on a previous network, and now we're officially on Handed Down Sports Media to actually bring in season two. So very excited to do that, man. Uh, our first official full season on Handed Down Sports Media. Our first season, we started on a different network. I won't say what it was. Then we started to get away from that network, and now we're here. So we pretty much basically signed it. We became RFAs, and now we're here.
Definitely. And before we get into some of our opinions on the upcoming season, we had some breaking news out of the NHL with a couple big signings. First off, Minnesota Wild kept their captain, Kirill Kaprizov, to a massive 8-year, $136 million extension, averaging $17 million average salary. That's going to skyrocket when McDavid signs this contract. People were saying McDavid's going to get 22 to 25 million on average. What do you think this would do with David's contract next year when he does re-sign with the Oilers, or if he goes someplace else?
Um, I definitely think this raises the price tag for Connor McDavid. Connor McJesus is going to require a bigger contract because he just brings so much MVP caliber to any franchise if he decides to leave the Oil. Maybe he goes to the Kings and goes the Wayne Gretzky route. After all, this is the last year of Anse Kopitar with the Kings, and Connor McDavid brings some star power. There's definitely some other teams out there that desperately need some help offensively. Philadelphia, Buffalo, Ottawa. If Edmonton can't pursue him. So that's just my thought. I mean, it would absolutely suck if you went to Boston. Just because we know how dominating Boston has been. But I think Boston needs more than offensive firepower. I think they need help in the backup.
Well, yeah, when you lose Brandon Marchand to the Florida Panthers, they kind of just lost all their firepower.
Brad Marchand was a pest. All right. Brad Marchand was a pest. And I'm saying that the polite way. I'm not saying that in the mean way. I'm saying that the polite way. He was a pest. And Brad Marchand was also getting into his late 30s, early 40s. So the decision to move on from Marchand was the right move. Okay. So, I'm not going to fault the Bruins on that. You give Marchand another chance to win a cup, you send him to Florida. But like I said, Boston has a goaltending problem. I mean, there's, they have Swayman, but who's behind him? That's just all I gotta say.
Definitely. And another interesting signing that happened, I believe, yesterday, or a couple of days ago, Jack Hughes and the New Jersey Devils inked a 7-year, $63 million extension, getting him $9 million on average. This is very interesting for the Devils, knowing that they were a very young team last year that came into the playoffs and lost to a very dominant Hurricanes team. And a lot of people were saying that the Devils just needed to build around Jack Hughes, and it looks like they are going to do that or attempt to do that. But my question is, will the Devils pull a devil and fold of trying to build around Jack Hughes? What are your thoughts about this?
Raleigh. Sorry, you had to do the obligatory Carolina Hurricanes man there. But um, Jack Hughes cementing that contract was definitely a great move for the Devils. They have needed offensive star power since losing Patrick Elias so long ago to the Wild. They really haven't had a proper identity since Elias and Brodeur have left. Um, they now have good goaltending in Keith Kincaid. But other than that, I think it's Kincaid. Um, but other than that, like the Devils have been a what are you type of team, in my opinion, of course.
Yeah, definitely agree. The Devils. I was shocked by last year. I mean, they entered the season as underdogs to make the postseason, and they blew through the conference and shocked all of us of making the playoffs as a very young team. And a lot of people were saying they just need little small pieces, and they can turn that tune a little bit higher. I think the Devils could be a threatening team this year to go deep, or maybe even shock everybody and win their first Stanley Cup in a long time. I think it is.
They haven't won a Stanley Cup since 2001.
Wow, that just aged me.
No, I'm sorry. 2003. Excuse me.
Interesting. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we'll definitely see what the Devs can do. We're going to switch up from NHL to the minor league hockey world. The ECHL is expanding once again. They're going out west. They are introducing the New Mexico Goatheads in 2026 as to try to get more hockey out there, because obviously with the Coyotes moving out there, we became the Utah Mammoths now. It's very interesting to see that they're moving to New Mexico, a state that I never thought would get a minor league hockey team or even potentially a professional hockey team.
Considering that the NHL is actually thinking about expanding more and bringing back Arizona again, this is not a surprise. The desert has been a pretty decent hockey market, a lot better than Atlanta has been. So the excitement is there for hockey. The issue with the teams in the desert has been ownership and the product on the ice. The product on the ice sometimes had matched how ownership had been treating the franchise like crap. So, because you can only name one proper, you can actually name, like, I can name only two superstars when it came to Arizona. That's Shane Doan and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Those are the only two I can actually name off the top of my head. Everyone else for the Arizona Coyotes have been plumbers and Make-A-Wish kids, with the exception of rare cameos from Mike Smith and Ilya Brizgalov, making, spurts here or there of potential superstar caliber. But other than that, it's, Arizona, there is a market for it. The fan base is diehard for the Arizona Coyotes to come back at least.
Now, with this being a thing, do you think the NHL is going to try to push more towards more West Coast teams, or try to keep it more Eastern, knowing that the ECHL is trying to get more out west and stay Eastern and Central?
Well, the ECHL isn't really a rival hockey league. I mean, the NHL has actually used players from the ECHL as call-ups, especially goaltending in emergency situations. So this is not, a bad idea for the NHL to try to go more southern and even more western style markets. The thing is, they have to get ownership that actually give a fuck about the area around them. Deliver a fine product on the field. You can't just, oh, hey, I have a hockey team now. No. Here's an Alice Cooper cameo. No. You can't just coast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And coming from someone who's actually wearing some ECHL merch, because I'm a Orlando Solo Bears fan, with the Lightning affiliate, I know a lot of players that have been playing really well that you could see on the ice this year with Lightning if they do pretty well. So definitely intriguing to see what's happening with the ECHL. Before we move on, I would like to take a brief break to talk about our affiliate for tonight's episode of season 2 of Den and Toe, which is Duke Cannon Supply Company. You can get a free scrubber if you spend $75 or more on their website. So if you need a new shampoo company, make sure you use the link in our bio to support us and our friends over at Duke Cannon Supply Company. And Cobra and Tyler can both contest that Duke Cannon is an amazing company to use. So they highly recommend you guys do use them.
And not only that, for the fall season, they have their basic ass brick of soap that is pumpkin spice latte scented. It is available for a limited time. Do check it out. They do apologize, but they don't apologize at the same time for giving you pumpkin spice latte soap. I've used it before. It actually smells great. So I can actually attest to that. I actually use Duke Cannon. I'm trying to get Alex to switch to Duke Cannon. It's a great feeling soap as far as on your skin. And definitely in the news anchor thick tea tree formula is very great as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so with that being said, let's get back to topics at hand. And that will be with the NHL season almost in full swing right around the corner. I want to give you guys our top 3 Stanley Cup contenders of who we think is going to be a top dog to fight against outside of possibly defending champion. So do you want to go first, Cobra, or do you want me to swing the stick at this one?
I want you know what, host go first. You know what, Alex? I want to hear your opinion first. And who do you think it will be contenders for the crown?
Ooh, okay. So outside of the favorite, which is obviously the defending champions, I honestly going to put, like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to put the Devils as one of my top 3 teams. I think if the Devils can rally behind Jack Hughes, they can get their offense going and they can use their defense effectively like they did last year. They are now a playoff experienced team that they haven't been in a long time. They shocked everybody last year. They were quick, fast, hard hitting, and shot the puck well. And a very dominant Metropolitan Division that was ran by my own Washington Capitals. So I definitely am intrigued to see what the Devils can do this year now that they've inked Jack Hughes for the future. I think they will be a great team this year. My second contender is out of the Western Conference, and I'm going to go with a team we've seen time and time again go deep in the playoffs and time again lose deep in the playoffs. And I'm going with the Connor McDavid ran Oilers. If they can do what they did last year and not pull an Oiler, I think McDavid and Leah Drysdale will finally get their first championship and break the curse for Canada that they haven't won a championship since what 2005, one of the last time the Canadians won. So I think if the Oilers actually play well this year, they will not pull an Oiler. And all they're going to do is just get past the Panthers because they got past their own conference pretty effectively last year, quicker than most people thought they would.
Mhm.
And my final contender is going to be the St. Louis Blues. I think they can get back to 2019 form again, like they did last year with Jordan Bennington. That offense looked great. The defense looked powerful. They had a tough series. I'm forgetting who they faced last year. I think it was the Blues. It was the Winnipeg Jets. They had a crazy tight game with the Jets. And I think if the Blues just get going fast, I think they can go deep this year.
Well, I'm glad I listened to yours because I definitely have three different contenders on my mind. Um, so I alluded to him earlier because I literally just said really. So I'm going with Carolina. Carolina seemed like they're one step closer, but they have got to get over that hump before to get to the Stanley Cup final. So they have to get over the hump. They have a legit chance now with Florida losing Barkov for the season. So, it's possible we might see a different Stanley Cup Stanley Cup final this year. Second, Western Conference, Vegas. Vegas, aka Team LTIR. They always seem to. They're definitely a threat, despite always being injured for long periods of time. They're always threat. They're always a threat. So do not sleep on Vegas. And finally, and you're probably going to laugh because this is an extremely hot take. You probably think I'm high, but I think they're going to return to the playoffs this year, and that is the San Jose Sharks.
How?
The San Jose Sharks showed a lot of promise towards the back half of the season last year. I definitely think that the San Jose Sharks will make it back to the playoffs this year. If they do, Alex, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, huh? What are you going to do?
I don't even know because I'm just used to the Sharks being a bad team every year.
What are you going to do?
I don't even know. I could chew on the Sharks. I mean, I'm not good with betting, so I don't know how to gamble.
Yeah, gotcha.
Do that.
Gotcha. No challenges right now. But pin it. Cobra has a hot take. The San Jose Sharks will make the Stanley Cup playoffs this year.
I have a hot take. Let me just throw my hat in the ring here. I am going to say that if the Seattle Kraken can find their voice and push and actually play well, because they had a great back half last year, they just failed to win games to put them there. But I think if the Seattle Kraken can actually do something to their team this year, the Kraken could be a playoff caliber team that could be sneaky in making a deep run, if not win the first championship like the Knights almost did in 2018. Obviously, Kraken struggled last year. There was the first team the first year of the league. They struggled in the first half, came back after the trade deadline, pulled it through at the end, but couldn't get just right to get to the playoffs. So if you're saying the Sharks to make the playoffs, I'm going to throw the Kraken out there as my hot take. I think if the Kraken play well in the division, keep it tight, the Kraken could make some noise in the back stretch of the season.
Nice.
Definitely agree with that one. So next up, we're going to go over our top 3 bottom feeders who's going to be fighting for the top spot of the draft. Obviously, last year was, I believe, the New York Islanders that won
the lottery.
Won the lottery, which is blasphemy, knowing how bad the Blackhawks were. Is it the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
So my number 1 bottom feeder is unfortunately the new team of the pack. I think it's the Utah Mammoth. I don't think they are going to have a good enough team to fight for a playoff spot. I think they're going to have a struggle off the gates. Obviously, they're a good team. They're looking pretty good outside of the uniforms are great. The team looks good. The ownership knows what they're doing. But, every team struggles the first year. Kraken didn't make the playoffs. The Golden Knights lost in 6 of the Capitals and Stanley Cup Finals in 2018. These new teams do not play well and effectively to make a lot of noise. I will be blown away if they make a lot of noise this year, because I don't think they will. But I hope the fans can get behind them. The fans can actually.
Utah's not an expansion, though. Utah's not an expansion. Utah is a move. I can understand if Utah was an expansion, they're a move. It's entirely different to call them a brand new team.
That's right. Yeah, I'm not used to them. I'm not used to it because they were the Coyotes, but it's weird to say.
And that's kind of wrong for you to say, considering we both of us have witnessed a move before with the Atlanta Thrashers moving to Winnipeg. So it's not like this is unfamiliar territory.
I'm probably too young for that.
It happened in like 2010.
2010. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
So no, you're not too young for that.
my next bottom feeder is a team that I thought was actually going to do decently last year, and that is the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks looked pretty decent last year. They just didn't have the firepower enough to make a good playoff push to make it. It seems the Ducks have always struggled to do anything. I know they just revived the throwback logo. I don't see the Ducks doing anything improving wise. They're in a very tough, the Western Conference with a lot of dominant, powerful teams. The Jets, the Knights, the Oilers, the Avalanche. We got a lot of tough teams that they struggle, and I don't think they are going to do well enough to make some noise this year. And my final bottom feeder is going to be, unfortunately, the Buffalo Sabres once again. I just don't believe in the Sabres anymore. The Sabres, year in and year out, try to build a good team, and year in and year out, they always end up bottom of the league. One of the bottom 5 teams of the league every single year. And we look at, is it Buffalo's ownership? Is it the team? What is the problem in Buffalo? And no one can seem to answer that question for me. So it just makes me believe they are going to be another bottom feeder of the team this year.
All right. All right, let's start with me and my top 3 bottom feeders. My number 1, I'm going with Chicago. Like this is a slam dunk for me. Chicago has shown me nothing. They have shown me nothing that they're willing to move forward from the Tyler Beach scenario and all that stuff that happened, especially with Joel Quenneville, and all the stuff that happened with the 2010 Stanley Cup Final. It just seems like karma's caught up with them. But Chicago is Chicago. I think they're going to be in the bottom of the basement once again. Next is Detroit Red Wings. The Geyser plan clearly isn't working in Detroit. And I think it's time to send Yzerman home. Like he's done. And finally, Columbus. Like Columbus, they fought valiantly, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think they have enough to move forward. They literally asked the Flyers for Fedotov, and they waived Fedotov. He's in the AHL now. So, I don't know what else to say.
Definitely interesting for both of us. And I did write everything down that we both said so we can revert back to it at the end of the season to see how wrong we were about the contenders and how wrong we were about bottom feeders and what we could have changed with our list depending on how the season plays out, because season is a long season and a lot can change and a lot can change fast and slow. So we're going to revert back to this list later in the season after the Stanley Cup Finals wraps up to see how dead wrong we were or how right we were. So definitely intrigued. I'm definitely excited to see what's going to happen this season.
Yep.
You got a puck there, Cobra? You got a
Yes,
puck?
I do. Yes, I do. I have a puck. I have a biscuit. I have a burnt biscuit.
Is it a real puck or is it one of those like?
It's a real puck.
Pucks?
It's a real puck. It's a real puck, man.
Interesting. Definitely excited to see if I can try to get out to a Caps game this year. Probably won't be able to, but we will definitely see. I'm definitely. And
Yeah.
I didn't have a biased opinion. I was going to put them in the contenders, but I believe my Caps are going to do what they did last year, which is win the Metropolitan again, because that's what we do. We win the Metropolitan. You're a Sabres fan, correct? Are you?
Yeah. I'm a Sabres fan. Ever since '98 with Dominik Hasek, so.
Do you think I'm going to be dead wrong about them being a bottom feeder team this year? Do you think they have some
I
life
think
in them?
I think they're either going to be bottom feeders or mid. Like, I don't know what else you can change. It's clearly that I firmly believe it's the Pagulas. Like they could do great with the Bills, but they can't do great with the Sabres. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
It is noticeable that football owners cannot own hockey teams because they just don't do well, which is why Josh Harris with the Commanders does well with the Sixers because the Sixers are a winning franchise. But if he tries to own the Capitals, it won't work for him because he's better off owning football and basketball than football and hockey. So
Yep.
definitely notice a lot with that.
Yeah.
So our last thing on the docket is going to be what is our most anticipated season opener for October 7th is when the regular season officially goes into full swing because tomorrow is the final day of the preseason. So out of the 3 games Tuesday, which is Blackhawks Panthers, Penguins Rangers, and Avalanche Kings, Kobo, what are you turning your TV to on Tuesday to watch before your Sabres kick off the season?
You know what? Give me an original matchup: Blackhawks Bruins.
Ooh.
Yeah, give me an original six matchup. There's something about the original six matchups that are always amazing. If that makes sense. Like again, give me the original six. Give me Bruins Blackhawks.
Interesting. Out of the 3 games Tuesday, I think the game I'm going to be looking forward to is a rival game. Actually, I'm going with Sidney Crosby and the Penguins against the Rangers at 8 p.m. ESPN. I think the Penguins and Rangers always play close, always play tight, and with how close the Metropolitan Division was last year and the Eastern Conference with the Rangers and the Penguins just missing the playoffs by I think what was it 5 games? I think it was. It was very tight for the Penguins last year, and until the Capitals kick off on I think it's Wednesday or Thursday, I'm going to be turning on the Rangers game because I think it's going to be a great tight game. Obviously, with Iko Shudurkin in the net for the Rangers, it's definitely going to be intriguing to see what they can do this year,
Yeah.
and if the Rangers can get back to Stanley Cup caliber level as they were
Yeah.
recently. And we don't know how much time Crosby has left. Crosby is, I think, around the same age as Ovechkin is, and Ovechkin's this might be his last
Yeah.
season for Ovechkin. So
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby is getting up in an age. The Penguins haven't won a Stanley Cup since what 2012,
Yeah.
2011.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute for them too. And I think Crosby, if he plays high level, he can get into the chip and the softly in Pennsylvania sports outside of the Eagles because every team in Pennsylvania is mid, all of them. So, and I don't like the Penguins, but I still think it's gonna be a great
You
game.
better
I
take
would say
that
that
back about every Pennsylvania team being mid. The Pittsburgh Steelers went to Super Bowl, and so are the Penguins. God! Who let the Inzer in?
I've
Who let
triggered
the Inzer in?
I I've triggered the instant by talking smack about Pennsylvania teams. I've done it. I've triggered the insert. Oh my god. Whoa. I've done it. I was at the West Coast teams, but I'm not gonna be up at 10:30 at night, possibly to watch the Avalanche and the Kings because I hate West Coast games. I'm so late over here on the East Coast, it bothers me. But definitely excited to see this season kick off. Is there anything you want to talk about before we wrap up here? Anything you want to talk about your team, the season? What are you anticipating?
Not gonna lie, as far as this season's concerned, Alex, I think this is going to be a great season for us this year on the podcast for Biscuits and Penalties. Man, I'm looking forward to it. Um, yeah, that's all I gotta add.
I definitely am too, and unfortunate that this might be Ovechkin's last year. I'm very, very happy I got to watch a Stanley Cup championship for OV back in 2018 because I thought I would never see one with the Capitals because that was our first one in franchise history. But I'm very happy I got to see one
And
before
they'll
I
never
die.
take it away from us.
Oh, well, yeah.
Had to quote
The
Ovechkin
parade
on that
in
one.
DC was the parade in DC in 2018 was a sea of red, which I was dying and wish I was when I was in Florida at the time. So unfortunately, I could not be there, but I was there in spirit for sure. Okay,
All right.
so I would like to plug our other podcast, which is Passing the Pigskin, our college football podcast with our own Tyler and our partners over at New City, Billy. They go on Thursdays talking about all things college football.
We
Our
have
Dirt podcast, which is coming up
in 10 minutes. And Billy finally
in 10
arrives
minutes.
for Biscuits at Penalties. He shows up a little bit late.
I thought I was still
I
suspended.
summoned him.
No, your suspension was lifted.
Oh, thank God.
I summoned him by talking about his podcast.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yep. Yeah, you talk about passing the pigskin and Billy arrives. We also have the hard count tomorrow.
Oh, by the way, tomorrow on the Volpill 99 YouTube channel, I will be live streaming possibly the eclipse of college football games. Vanderbilt and Alabama.
Wow, that hurts. That hurts.
Hey, I'm wearing a Berserk shirt.
Yeah. He's definitely banded a falcon on that one.
The band of volunteerism.
Yep, the band of volunteerism. So
I even made a flag.
Yep. Okay. Getting back to ending this podcast before we get to Dirt and Turf later today. We also
we got
have, the Handed Down Beatdown, our pro wrestling podcast this Sunday. Don't forget. Also, we have the Lap Down, our auto racing podcast. And, of course, we have the Handed Down Bench. We are trying to get to it. We've just been exhausted going through this. So forgive us. We will get to it. And, of course, Billy, is there anything you want to add? Any plugs you want to give in?
Well, one, I'll say this about Biscuits and Penalties. I will be doing a segment on Biscuits and Penalties called News from the Juniors and a minor going through the minor leagues.
Definitely excited to see that happen.
Yeah,
definitely,
so we could get famous Pittsburgh Penguin Gavin McKenna.
Nice.
Well, also, like I say, we are on YouTube, Spotify, and Patreon for as much as Arizona Iced Tea. And on TikTok now because it is now an American-owned company, so TikTok is not going anywhere anytime soon. And with that being said, I see the Zamboni. That's all we have, folks.
That's
Bye,
all.
everybody.
Take care, everyone.